Hey everybody, our topic this week is equivalent expressions. Equivalent expressions are basically a different way of writing or saying the same thing. If you think back way a long time ago when you first started learning your math facts, for example, you learned that you could say something like 5 plus 2 would equal 7, or you could say 3 plus 4 would equal 7. You even learned that 1 plus 6 would equal 7. All of those are equivalent numeric expressions. They just have numbers. We're going to do the same thing this week, except we're going to start adding in those variables that we've been talking about for basically the last couple months. And we're going to look at algebraic expressions that are equal to each other. For example, when we were working with algebra tiles, we had something like 3 green rectangles. One way you could say that would have been 1x plus 1x plus 1x. Or you could have said, hey, I have 3 green rectangles and that equals 3x. In fact, there was being one other way you could have written it. You could have written it 3 times 1x. All of those would have been equivalent expressions. So we're just going to remind you of some different ways that we can manipulate some of these expressions and change them up, and we're going to ask you which ones are equal. That's our topic for this week. Let's get started. One of the ways that we could simplify expressions was to combine like terms. I have an expression here for you, 3x plus 6 plus 4x minus 2. Which expression would be an equivalent expression after you combine these terms? Well, if I was going to combine like terms, I need to circle my terms first. So I'm going to make sure when I circle terms that I'm including the operation sign that is next to the term. So my first term was 3x, my second term was plus x, my third term is plus 6, my fourth term is plus 4x, and my fifth term is minus 2. Now I can only combine things that are similar. So I have 3 x terms here that I have now circled all in blue. 3x plus x plus 4x. 3x plus another x plus 4x would be 8x. I have 2 terms that are without variables. That's plus 6 and minus 2. So now if we do 6 minus 2, 6 minus 2 is a positive 4. And I've combined all of my terms now. My equal expression is 8x plus 4. I have another example for you underneath this black box. In this example, we have the expression 4x. What is another way that we could write the expression 4x? Well, another way that we could write the expression 4x is if we took each one of those x's and added them together. X plus x plus x plus x would be an equal expression to 4x. Let's try some practice problems. For letter A, are these expressions equivalent? Is 5a plus 3a the same thing as saying 15a? 5a plus 3a would be 8a. 8a is not the same thing as 15a, so no, those two expressions are not equivalent. Take a look at example B. Is 1b plus 1b plus 1b plus 1b plus 1b equal to 5b? Yes, in this case, these two expressions would be equal. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 b's on the right-hand side that are all added together. 5b is the same thing as 5b. We also use the distributive property to simplify expressions. Take a look at my first example. You can multiply in using the distributive property. Which expression would be equal to 4 times the quantity x minus 3? 4 times the quantity x minus 3 was like saying we had 4 of the group x minus 3. So you would have x minus 3 plus another group of x minus 3 plus another group of x. Minus 3 plus one more group of x minus 3. With our tiles, it was where we copied and pasted tiles over and over again. Another way to consider this would be to multiply the 4 times everything in the parentheses. 4 times x would be 4x. 4 times minus 3 would be minus 12. 4x minus 12 is an equal expression to 4 times the x minus 3. We also did the opposite, where we factored out a number in front of parentheses. Which expression would be equal to 3 times a minus 9? When I look at 3a minus 9, I see that I can factor out a 3 from both numbers in this expression. I could have made 3 groups of a minus 3. So 3 times the group a minus 3 would be an equal expression. Let's try some practice. Are these expressions equivalent? Take a look at example M. Is 2 times the quantity m plus 5 equal to 10 plus 2m? In this case, we can use the distributive property to multiply the 2 times each of the items in parentheses. So 2 times m is 2m, and 2 times 5 is 10. So I have 2m plus 10. And that is the same thing as saying 10 plus 2m. It's technically backwards, but we know, in addition, we can reverse that order. Try example X. Is 4 times the quantity 5 minus 2x the same thing as saying 9 minus 6x? In this case, the answer is no. If I'm going to use the distributive property, 4 times 5 is 20, and 4 times minus 2x is minus 8x. That is definitely not the same as 9 minus 6x. If you felt comfortable, you could also factor a number out of the second expression. Both 9 and 6 can have a 3 come out, so we could factor out a 3 and have the quantity 3 times 3 minus 2x, and that is definitely not the same thing as 4 times the quantity 5 minus 2x. So the answer is still no. Okay guys, so that's all of the examples for right now. This last question, on a scale of 4, I got this, I know it, I'm ready to go, all the way down to 1, you still need help, you need some support. How do you feel about this lesson in matching equivalent expressions? Could you do this on your own? Please explain what ranking that you gave yourself, 4 through 1, and your teachers will be looking at this to give you any help, or please feel free to reach out at any time this week if you need help on this lesson. Have a great week.